Hello everyone, this is Evil. Few people know that I have a project that I've developed on my own for teaching people how to speak English and to participate in the English speaking world more actively, investigating the context of the places that speak English, the context of a person who you might meet and have a conversation with through social media, with a little bit of reflection on what social media represents, what the platforms are, what the platforms say, what the discussions are about these platforms, things that you agree, things that you disagree with, things you want to improve, problems that you may have faced, and a few people have been reporting, in some cases, a lot of people. Uh, and in that process, I think some people may have gotten a little bit curious because I certainly have. When I look at my WordPress blog that started in 2017 with the domain that I didn't register with a paid subscription to register a full domain without the WordPress address on it. I do it for free. I don't make any money with my blogs, but I do share a lot of opinions, and sometimes I share what people are saying, what people have said in other media. Uh, I'm not going to say media formats, but media platforms. Some of them are very consolidated. Some of them are a little bit more. I'm not going to say they're not consolidated because always trying to bring relevance to the discussion. So, for example, when I mention Pew Research or Statista or Alexa or things like that, these are, and a lot of people don't know that Alexa is not only the device from Amazon, but it's a website that tracks web traffic and statistics about websites and how they're used, who is using them, and a lot of detailed information. And it has been doing that for decades. When I try to bring that, I know that a lot of people don't have the references, but I'm still trying to put that in the discussion because I think it's relevant. Um, but today, I don't want to talk about the things that you can do to improve your English, the things that you can do to understand when native people are talking to you, how to start a conversation with a foreigner, either if it's an European person who's going to be most likely bilingual, or a person who lives in Asia, or a person who lives in the United States, and understanding the American context and the politics or whatever, or avoiding these things. I'm not going to go through that. I'm going to go through a few things that I put on a YouTube video that I uploaded on my personal channel. And right now, what I want to do, after addressing some of the themes that I proposed myself to address, and in fact, I was asking for collaborations, thinking about these topics, I want to share some of my ideas of these topics. And my idea was basically, excuse me, because I have to look at my annotations. My idea was to map out basically what I thought would be contributing to a better discussion around social media and around the society that we are uh, preparing to, uh, I'm not going to say re-enter because we are still part of society, even though for 2 years now we've been more or less forced to stay at home and focus on the digital because it's our alternative. Um, but a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, are going to say there's some people that have been very successful in this model. and we should address this one topic. So the gap between developed countries and digital economies and underdeveloped countries who need basic things and help from the government to solve their day-to-day issues. Because I have a computer, I don't have this problem. Not so easy. I didn't have a computer, I didn't have a phone when the pandemic started. I lost them. They were old devices that got problems, and I used my government relief money to buy technology so that I could talk to people and think together with these people about these issues. That means that a lot of the times I'm thinking together with the American people of the United States of America. Uh, Other times I'm looking at European models of education and thinking about what can be proposed based on what they're saying. Sometimes I'm looking at academic papers discussing, for example, the mental health effects of using a lot of screens and spending 6 hours per day on average interacting with your devices. And then I'm bringing this discussion to blogs that is, in my conception, a format that is more easy to be absorbed. I may be wrong, but because a lot of people are not reading anymore. But the style of this kind of video, where a person just talks and talks and talks, is not, and that's a perception I have, but it's also a fact, it is not so accepted anymore because people like cuts, people like compliments to what you're saying. So if I say any big words here, people expect the big word to appear on the screen so you can really focus on what's being discussed. And a person talking is not gonna have the same effect as a person talking with a reinforcement of content, which is a pedagogical device that we can use. And that's a side comment that I made because right now I want to talk to students, but also a note for teachers. If you want to make a video like this and you have the confidence and the knowledge to do something like this, speaking freely, you have a little bit of experience and you understand the problems, you can just put a word on the screen. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go through the themes that I want to discuss. So the themes are, I'm going to read again. I hope this is not a boring thing, but I just want to make sure that people remember. The last time that I went on YouTube, that's what I tried to do. So saturation, overflow, disconnect, schizophrenic timeline, super user, early bird, Burger King babies, cost benefit, DMCA, the Pirate Bay, digital witness, support network, information endurance, sustainability, philosophy, deeper truth, argument bust, turn on for notifications, notice me, senpai, mirrored context, the pessimist activist, beautiful agony, fight for the unusual and weird match. A lot of these things are related to social media in a broader context, and some of them more specific. Some people may think, well, what the hell were you thinking when you said beautiful agony? You wanted to discuss beautiful agony in the classroom. What the hell are you talking about? I am basically talking about the fact that while we have facial recognition software being adopted by the big companies and a society that prioritized self-image and validation of self-image through monetized platforms that use your information, your face, your digital appearance and looks and likability. In this context, it makes sense to talk about the excess of that kind of categorization and how we can respond. And my comment is not at all inappropriate. Beautiful Agony is an erotic, uh, uh, proposal of content that basically was, and I'm talking to adults here, right? Basically was a thing that filmed people's faces when they were masturbating. Masturbation is a normal thing in society in global terms. Even if you don't talk about it, maybe don't talk about it, but you're still going to do it. Nobody's going to hell because we're masturbating. So that's one thing I want to make clear here. If you live in a region that, that's not an easy thing to say, let me contextualize. I'm Brazilian, and for me, this is absolutely normal. But for me, for a lot of people who live here in Brazil, it's not. So I understand the conflict. But what I wanted to address was the problem of platforms monetizing over people's stolen images and how they profit on a perception that is reinforced by algorithms systematically saying that your value is your face. And if you don't like it, guess what? We have software to identify if you're happy, if you're lonely, if you're horny, if you're depressed. But if you're depressed, we're not going to do anything about it. If you're horny, we're going to hunt you down. If you are anxious, we're going to send you a bunch of COVID-related news, and we're not going to do anything about your anxiety, for example, recommending you to search for, I don't know, different sleeping or diet habits, which is something that artificial intelligence could do, but it's not doing. So discussions like these, and then people say, oh my God, the guy said something about Beautiful Agony on YouTube. So fucking what? Do you understand the concept now? So yeah, that's just one of the themes. But I could go on and on and on, talk about Notice Me Senpai. If you Google it, you're going to find out what this is. Basically, people asking for attention, but there is a background, which is, anime culture and how relationships in Eastern cultures have a more complex nature of that maybe you're not going to see in a Seth Rogen movie, for example. It's a little bit more complex than that because they tend to uh, make the stories about introverted people who have difficulty communicating. And I am not at any point saying that, oh, this generation just wants attention, or oh, these are all, if you want to use a term that's very common on the internet, you only see attention whores on the internet nowadays. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the exact opposite of that. And I'm trying to bring the theme to discussion. So, man, if you're not reading texts, work on your text interpretation skills. Please, please. Okay. So saturation, I covered that on a blog. Burger King babies. It's a phrase that caught my attention. I've talked about it on Twitter. Basically, it's the need, and this is a phrase by gubernatorial Democratic candidate for Florida last couple years. Um, Andrew, I always forget his name. Andrew Gollum. Gollum is the Lord of the Rings guy. Andrew, man, search for it. Gubernatorial Democratic candidate, and for Florida. And you're gonna find him. He's a great guy. He's been on CNN a few times discussing the presidential race. And what I meant to explore was what American people might have understood on the spot, but people who are not Americans may have thought, well, what is the guy trying to say? Burger King babies, just basically he's talking about a fast food network, and he's explaining, we are all Burger King babies. We want it our way right away. That's it. That's it. We want it our way right away. If you're Brazilian, you don't have a good level of English, you don't understand what the prepositions are doing. Well, our way. We want things to be the way we want. We want our opinion, our desire, our needs to be addressed, to be solved, our problems to be solved instantly, right away, without any effort, without any work or we are basically, he's saying that, to use another expression, we take things for granted. You want to have a better life, but you don't send resumes to companies to start your professional life. You want to be recognized as a professional, but you don't put in the work. A lot of people say this about me, for example, because I didn't record this video before. I'm here busy talking to people on the internet, but I'm not putting my content on YouTube. So these things, there's a lot of people with a lot of free content online that you can study watching their videos, and there's a lot of podcasters, and there's a lot of TV people, and there's a lot of different kinds of media that are independent and less talked about. But there's also the mainstream vehicles, and if you want to discuss the mainstream vehicles, you're going to have to discuss paywall. You're going to have to discuss the price that they put for people to subscribe for their content. You're going to have to discuss the subscription model, because, for example, I was a subscriber of the New York Times, but it was a free edition. So every single day I got like 5 emails from the New York Times about things that I was absolutely not involved with, but they kept on emailing me and things like that. So that's what I'm talking about. This concept that if you don't put in the work, what should you expect? The only counter argument to that is that if you want to make use of the platforms, the big platforms, uh, cult of image, let's say, if you think cult is a strong word, sorry, but it's more or less true. If you want to make use of that to become famous or to get likes or to do whatever and become a sponsor for a company or for a brand or whatever, then okay, do that. I'm not saying don't do that. You can do that, but it's going to stop you. But some people have actual jobs. Sorry, that's my opinion. So yeah. What else? There's a lot of things that the Andrew Gillum, remember his name. His comment was about the political process, but anyway, I think he was thinking about something a little bit more broad. What else? I talked about information endurance, and it's the blog that I would like you to read because it has a lot of references, and I thought this through a lot, and I took a little bit longer to put this available, but it's there. It's my latest blog. You can read it as of August 27th, 2021. How did we get here? And there's things that are a little bit more complicated to discuss. For example, the Pirate Bay. Here in Brazil, you're going to see a lot of arguments about the Pirate Bay, which is Brazil is a poor country. So if you don't make available culture for the population, you're contributing to basically preserving the, let's say, literacy levels at low rates, because we have mechanisms that distribute culture. And as a result, if you have a counter argument, I'm going to say, as a result, If you like the work of an actor, of a musician, or whatever, you're going to follow them on social media. And what happens in the process isn't, very concrete in your perspective, but in the perspective of an artist that wants to release records and make earnings based on streaming, even though it's a very low cost, but very low uh, earning rate. But they do sell tickets and merchandising and stuff like that. And though we are not having a lot of concerts for an extended period of time, these things are coming back. And the thing is that we are noticing that a lot of things need to change on the internet because a lot of things will happen on the internet. Easy to say, little bit more complicated to have this discussion in front of, I don't know, 100 people who are watching me in a Congress talking about the state of online education. A lot of people would have questions. People would leave in the middle of my talk. People would raise their hands. People would start screaming, oh, you're wrong about this. You can't say anything about beautiful agony. That's absolutely inappropriate. And they wouldn't listen to my argument. But what can I do? I can make a video and then you watch it. If you don't watch it, you're not part of the discussion. You're allowed to have an opinion and publish your opinion. Maybe not on my social networks, directly speaking to me and having a conversation, which is a decent, civilized thing to do. But if you're not, okay, okay. I'm not trying to convince anybody. I'm trying to create content. Actually, I have a Patreon, patreon.com/English101BR. You can support me via PayPal. And I also have music work, which I think is a very important contributor, especially in the pandemic, because people are getting kind of nuts with lack of things to do. And you can support me on Bandcamp, same thing via PayPal, uh, at evoescobar.bandcamp.com. You can see 2 songs that I put together, and I'm working on a few others. Because as Maynard James Keenan puts it, we're all adults and we can do 2 things at the same time. In my case, I'm doing a little bit more than 2, but never mind that. Sustainability philosophy. There's a lot of talk. Yesterday, I was watching the Minister of Agriculture here in Brazil talking about that in a channel called Band News. And they were talking about a little bit of misinformation that runs around because people think everything is in flames and that there's no plan to take care of the Amazon and that the government doesn't care. A lot of people say, oh no, I knew he was not a leftist. I knew he was one of those moderates. No, I'm just looking for the right information because I hate when people lie. That's the thing about me. I don't fucking lie. If I have anything difficult to say, I'm probably gonna say, let's have a conversation about that privately, and I can explain my point of view and why I did this or that. I go on Twitter a lot because people can't stop bothering me, and I have to explain myself every single 5 seconds. But, that's just part of creating content online, nothing personal, right? There's a lot of other things. When I mentioned, for example, early bird, I was thinking about the Instagram filter called early bird, but I was also thinking about birds, Twitter, and I was thinking about the fact that younger than ever, the new generations are starting to have contact with a lot of content that maybe is not appropriate for their ages, because parents don't know what to do, because the educational models are not training professionals to uh, uh, deliver content in and off the classroom environment. No, I'm not going to say the classroom environment, I'm going to say the physical classroom, in and out of the physical classroom, to, uh, prepare kids for whatever situation they might face in their lives, not only in their education history, education journey, educational, I should say. But some people have more knowledge to talk about that, so I haven't addressed this yet. And in a perfect world, I have a person in my mind that I hoped would be contributing with me to talk about this, but that's not possible right now. With Argument Bust, basically, I wanted to talk about trolls and people who are just on Twitter to make a counter argument, and sometimes robots that somebody pays to make a hashtag trend and create an impression that people have an opinion about something, when in fact it is an artificially uh, uh, artificially created advertisement of ideological content. But there's also people who are more prepared to talk about this than me. And there's a lot of other topics, but for example, weird match would probably be something that you were expecting from me. If you want to discuss online dating with a person who has no experience in online dating, it's going to be shitty as hell, and you're not going to relate. If you're going to discuss online dating with me, it's going to be a very depressing, but maybe sometimes funny discussion, because I have a lot of stories to tell. But then I get canceled. So, if I want to discuss my experience with Tinder, which is specifically a dating app, then I'm gonna tell you a few stories, and I'm gonna not tell you some other stories, out of respect and out of self-respect. But I'm probably gonna have an opinion about the platform. What do you think about Facebook dating? Who's using Facebook dating? I didn't see any articles talking about Facebook dating. I saw a few tweets, basically people saying, no, I'm not going to use that shit. So, that's it. And then people look at this and think, well, is he a journalist now? No, I'm not. I'm a blogger, not a journalist. Journalist is certified. Journalist has a undergraduate certification diploma, is connected to a bigger media organization. An independent journalist does the work, has a platform. I'm just a blogger sometimes. So calm down, people. And the other themes are, there's people more prepared to talk about this, but I just wanted to discuss a few things. For example, fight for the unusual. If you want to, if the here in Brazil, we have before starting university, you have to take a test that is the National High School Test. ENEM, right? National High School Test of Education. If the theme of your essay, because you have to write an essay, 1 page, 2 pages, 1 page, I think. If it were 2 pages, a lot of people would be failing. But anyways, 1 page, notebook page, 4 or 5 paragraphs. 4 or 5 paragraphs, okay? If you wanted to, if you just saw the theme, fight for the unusual, maybe they would contextualize. There's a lot of marginalized voices on the web. How can we make sure that they are understood, heard, and accepted? I just contextualized it. But at first, I just brought you, I don't have a car, so this kind of problem doesn't happen with me. Um, um, I just contextualized it. But if you just had the title, I expected you to think about something like that. I didn't expect you to think that the unusual is, I don't know, well, it's very unusual to find people who work as webcam models. That's unusual, right? In some places. That's wrong in a lot of places. But it's unusual. It's not something widespread in the United States, for example, working with that. And I'm not even going to say it's unusual to hear something about that in the media. It's just not there. The discussion is not there. Which is funny because here in Brazil recently I saw a very famous journalist, Pedro Bial, talking about the work of webcam models. And I'm not going to lie, I did see the New York Times talking about webcam models, seeing a lot of profit because people were looking for their services a lot more during the pandemic. Not sure what they think now because there's the OnlyFans discussion. But again, there's people more prepared than me to talk about this. And the whole point is to have a discussion, not to hear me talking endlessly about things that I haven't researched enough about. But I do have an opinion about most of these things. And some of them I just listed so I could do further research. For now, this is it. But I want to leave a note. If you want to study with me English, especially if you're living in Brazil, because I'm Brazilian, never went abroad, never going into the boarding an airplane is a thing that I dread. I even wrote songs about that. But I've never been in a freaking airport. I've traveled to like 5 different cities in my whole life. They were all in the States. One time I went to my uncle's home that is in Paraná, a different state here in Brazil, in the south, but that was the only time. I went there 2 times, but yeah. And a few other places. Like, do you want me to tell you the places? Yeah, you can see that on my Snap map. Anyway, you can't because you're not the owner of my account. I am, but this is it. And most of the things that I'm talking about, I know because I read stuff online and I talk to people, and that's it. If you want to have classes with me, then bit.ly/Fluência Participativa. This is Ivo Escobar, and I hope that you have a better idea of what studying English can do for your participation in the English speaking society. Thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe, why not? I'm on Instagram as Fluência Participativa and on Twitter as Part Fluency. Okay? If you're interested in more of my work, Linktree is Evil ESC, Escobar, short for Escobar. Okay? Take care. Hope you liked the video.